Lesson 5. So connect to the shared swap. I've posted videos on that both on YouTube and they're also on the shared swap under all the lesson files I've posted. So copy and paste that lesson 5 folder. And inside that lesson 5 folder, you will see workflow that is, again, prescribed workflow. It is the workflow that is designed to be used for this piece of software. Now, besides the normal workflow, you're going to see some other folders in there that are just a little bit different because this lesson is slightly different. Let's go through the main ones. When you're creating a project, you must create an assets folder. The assets folder is a folder that basically contains all the media, whatever media you're planning on using. And again, you can see there's a lot of media in here. Most of these are JPEGs, which are just still images, but there are some movie files in there. There's WAV files, there's Photoshop files. So this piece of software can handle just about anything that you could throw at it as far as types of media files. If you are setting up a project, then any file you're planning on using should be in this folder first before you import it. If you don't do this, all your stuff's going to go offline. And it's so important to set all this stuff up first, including the name of your master folder. Now, I'm going to change the name of this master folder, but because everything I save afterwards is still in this master folder when I create this new project, everything's going to be online. But if I go back after and change the folder after I've saved my AEP files and all that stuff, it's toast. You cannot rename this folder after you've established your AEP files. You can do it before, which is what we're going to do today, which isn't going to be a big problem. Your end project file. Again, this is a folder that's going to contain multiple versions of your AEP. It's where, as you're working, you should be saving multiple versions, and also your autosave vault should also be saving in this folder as well, because that way you've got double backups of everything you're doing. Finished project folder, there is nothing in here right now, but when we're done, there will be one AEP file in here. There won't be a movie file in here. It will be an AEP file, and it will be the absolute last version. If there's anything else in there, I'm going to take marks off. People have been losing marks on their workflow. Either their workflow is incredibly horrible, they've not followed this, or they just got stuff everywhere and in the wrong folders. And they haven't even named the folders right. So make sure you're using these names when you create your workflow. Sample movie, well, when you render out your AEP file, that's where that will get rendered to. So make sure that you're following that workflow. Now, there's a couple of other folders in here, animation preset. We'll discover what that is, but basically that is a folder that if I'm handing a project off to somebody and I'm using any animation presets that I'm not sure the next person might have installed on their workstation, then I'm going to copy them in here. But for the most part, you won't see that in traditional kind of layout. And then start project file is a new folder in here because we're actually, somebody has set up an AEP file for us that we're going to start from. And this would kind of be what a senior After Effects editor would be working with, because a junior After Effects editor would be doing all this work, setting up the workflow, putting all the files in the proper folders, and then the senior editor would then make magic with it. Okay, so make sure you're using proper workflow. There's no excuses for not using proper workflow, because if you're not using proper workflow, well, it's going to be very, very problematic for you. So what we're going to do now, of course, is we're going to go into the start project file. That's the AEP file that we want to use. But even before I do this, what I want to do is I want to rename this folder. So I'm going to call this BRTF 1265 L5. And of course, I'm going to put my name on here because this is indicative of this is my work. So now I'll go into that folder. See, I change all this stuff now. I don't change it later, because if I go back and do it later, it's all going to go offline. So if you're going to change that folder, do it now.